Dire team ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the AOC Pro Cup, bringing you guys a best of 3 between ADN Gaming and Scythe Singapore. This is going to be a really awesome series, guys. ADN is the ex-Han Pro Orange team, and Scythe, of course, was recently reformed with a bunch of really talented Singapore players, and now we're looking forward to some very active games from some teams with a lot of talent behind them. They're both kind of new to one thing or another. Scythe new with a few of the players playing together and kind of building up that coordination and so on and so forth, but ADN are kind of new to the Dota scene as they've been switching over within the past few months, and they've seemed to have made the transition quite well. They took out Mythtrust 2-1 yesterday, and now they are in this second round of the upper bracket in the AOC Pro Cup. So looking strong, and can't wait to see what we see out of them. But for first things first, we do see the Ember Spirit pickup, which will be definitely setting the tone and the pace for the game. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And once again, AOC Pro Cup, shout out to AOC, Dota Talk, and DapBet for their sponsorship and support of the tournament. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I myself am Blaze of Dota Talk, joined by Congo Kyle. What's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much. Just excited to watch ADN again and see if they can sort of hold on to that momentum they ended off with yesterday up against Mythtrust. And Mythtrust, as you mentioned, as we talked about yesterday, one of the stronger teams. And now they take on Scythe, who in the game we cast on Saturday had a relatively easy run. I think they went 2-0 straight, and they picked up the Ember Spirit as well. So Miracle, hopefully once again on that Ember Spirit in the solo mid, and we'll get a little bit of a chance. But the more I see this Ember Spirit being picked up, the more I feel teams just know how to deal with him now. But up against Invoker in the solo mid, I think he's going to have pretty terrible time. I'm still trying to figure out who Swirling Thunder is. I'm just trying to dig deep into my memory to remember who the 5th player was yesterday, but it'll come back to me.
Yeah, I know one of his aliases started with an I, maybe like Invigoration or something like that. Isolated. Okay, Isolated was one of his aliases, and the other alias I think he's more commonly known by is WTF. But apparently we're learning that he likes to change his name as much as Havos, it seems. But
yeah,
there you go. Anyways, yeah, he'll be running on the carry most likely, and covering up that front. I guess Slicks will be picking up the Invoker, and yeah, with these kind of disables, Cold Snaps, Arrows, yeah, they do have a bunch of tools in the toolbox to deal with Ember Spirit and to try to make sure that they can keep him on lockdown. But one of the best setups that they had to set up arrows, to set up team fights in general, they could have had the disruption into arrow, or they could have had Mr. Ghost Sand King, both of those being very prevalent as far as really just making things work for them, getting early kills, getting early aggression in general, and banning out those two bans actually really hurt their capability to deal with these kinds of heroes. Luckily, they're still going to pick up the Alchemist, and we'll see how effectively they can use that one. But I definitely think they would have opted for one of those two heroes that were banned out if they had the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Mr. Ghost Sand King again. I mean, we saw him played yesterday, and it was pretty much exactly how Sand King was meant to be played. I mean, he was rocking in 2-man impales at level 1, and we saw a couple of those, and getting with sneaky ultis up on the side, so maybe a respect ban, or just sort of going with the lineup of ADM that they can take out that Sand King. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him at all today in these matches. I'm pretty sure Scythe maybe caught a couple of the games yesterday just to spot out the competition, maybe watched a couple of replays in preparation for this game, and they see what the power is. We didn't get to see any Invokers yesterday. Well, we did. We saw one Invoker yesterday. But it was more or less, it was banned out against Mythtrust, and yeah, I'm just hoping to see Slicks just take this Invoker and run with it. Up against the Ember Spirit, as I mentioned, he should have an okay time. He's probably going to go for the Quas Wex again. We'll see, depending on what Scythe pick up for the last 2 picks here. Quas Exor could be fantastic as well, especially with Marana Arrow comboed up with the Unstable Concoction. It looks like it's going to be a safe lane Ember Spirit now with DK in the mid.
Yeah, I think that's what more teams are leaning towards. It's still definitely a flexible toss-up between the two. They can run him mid, but I think teams are more and more preferring to run him as like a safe lane carry that has the early game potential of a lifestealer, where he can start just completely dominating the map within the first 20 minutes of the game. So they want to get him that first early guaranteed farm so that he can just lock down his opponents and dig deep with a lot of potent burst. So Clinks, if he is running in the off lane, might have a bit of trouble. In general, just the Invis, although it has a good movement speed boost, he can still get pinned down by Frostbite under Sentry Wards, and if he gets locked in by Searing Chains to follow that, he's pretty much a dead man walking. Not that he isn't already being the Bone Fletcher, but it's just it's not a good position for him to be in. So more likely, I think ADN might want to be looking at running the Clinks in the safe lane, going for an aggressive tri-lane with a Mirana and Alchemist, and maybe something like a Visage. Bane was obviously the option that was banned out by Scythe, but yeah, we'll see if they actually take that route or if they're going to focus prioritization on WTS free farm. So right now, I really like Scythe's lineup. If they do run the DK mid, Nature's Prophet off lane, they are looking solid as far as lanes go. I mean, yeah. It's really hard to shut down the DK with a little bit of Bottle Crow, some Breathe Fire spam. He's going to get to his level 6, and then at that point, it's very hard to roam away from your tower. Luckily, as you mentioned, they still have the option of Exhort Invoker, which doesn't have to leave the lane at all in order to make his presence known across the map. But if you are trying to gank with like a Quaz Wax and leave your lane, that tower is going to be gone in seconds. So Scythe have kind of a bread and butter standard lineup other than the Ember Spirit, and I think they're going to be able to do some good work with it.
The only problem with Ember Spirit, what I've noticed from playing him myself, is he has severe mana problems. Crystal Maiden might help out with that, but I have seen a couple of Ember Spirits actually go for Arcane Boots in lane when they're playing in the safe lane, just because it gives you less damage, obviously, but it gives you a lot more mana to do all your combos. I mean, you can get 2 of those spirits down immediately, jump to them, get the Searing Chains off, and it's you know, they do cost quite a bit. I mean, you've got 110 mana for Searing Chains, 80 mana up to 110 at level 4 Flame Guard. Your Fire Remnant is 150 mana, so he takes a lot of mana to cast all of his spells and to get his combos off. So the Arcane Boots, I think, is gonna start becoming a lot more prevalent, I think, as the theory gets picked up in the safe lane. But one thing I want to say quickly about ADN's draft is, if we looked at how they won those 2 games yesterday, very team fight orientated. It was massive battles, massive rotations, you know, pick-offs, towers going down as soon as they've got a big gang off. So this is a bit different. I mean, this is more of a pick-off kind of lineup. I mean, there's a little bit of push, there's a Chen, I mean, but they've got the Clinks who sort of roams around picking off supports, picking off Crystal Maiden when he gets that Orchid Malevolence up. Invoker as well. As you mentioned, if there's going to be an Exort Invoker, he can just sit middle, he can just farm, and come join the fights now and then, a little bit of anti-push. So both lineups at the moment, not really big team fight battles, but I hope ADN don't struggle like they did in game 1 yesterday, where they picked a lineup that didn't comprise of big team fights. Instead, was them just getting picked off left, right, and center. So I'm very interested to see how they handle this new draft here, but
yeah.
Not new draft, but different draft.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. Scythe essentially have drafted up a double off lane where they can just run the Gondar as the anti-jungle, which is perfect for the Chen if he tries to stay in the Dire jungle, but we've already seen that specifically Fish XXL is comfortable with rotating away from his own jungle and going into the oppositions to make his presence known. So I wouldn't be 100% surprised if that's what he's forced into, with a couple of well-placed observer wards and of course the bounty hunter nipping at his heels, stealing creeps and leeching experience the whole time. So that's definitely a possibility. Now, I have to say that I did do my due diligence when I was looking at aliases in the lobby. Is Scythe.zenith, did you catch who that is?
Scythe, no, but I will have a look.
The battle begins.
Okay.
I'll have a quick check out before profile privacy. No.
Yeah, exactly that, you know. But at the worst case scenario, we can call him Gondar, and then we'll give him his name back when we get to the second game. But yeah, looking at the initial rosters here in the AOC Pro Cup, Season 1, Day 3, second round of the upper bracket here. Going to start off with Scythe Gaming's lineup, and looking over at Miracle, he's going to be carrying it up on the Ember Spirit. Has a pretty good start off for himself. We'll probably go for a Basilius alongside that Stout Shield so he can tank up really nicely in this 1v1, and has enough base damage that he should be able to claim some good last hits against this Mirana. DK in the mid, played by Polisan. He is going to be running against Slicks, and although the lane isn't easy for him for the first couple levels, he starts to pull ahead a little bit later, and not too bad. Hannah is going to be going for just a standard offlane build-up, boots first, and we'll have that Midas out in no time at all. Soul is the stand-in player, going to be supporting Miracle down on the bottom lane, leaving Bounty Hunter to just play shenanigans all day long against this Chen, but right now kind of being pseudo-zoned out by the Alchemist. He's essentially saying, okay, if Alchemist is not getting experience, I don't need to get it either, and that's kind of leaving them in an impasse. But anyways, we're going to be looking over a little bit of damage on the bottom lane as Miracle does some nice Searing Chains action, but otherwise I'll hand it over to you for ADN's lineup.
Sure, Mr. Ghost, Captain MVP from yesterday, playing the Alchemist. Chen being handled by XXL. Mirana by Swirling Thunder, or Isolated, or WTF. Clinks being handled by Polishima. And of course in the solo mid, it's Lex, who could look to get a kill here, but no, Mr. Ghost got the stun off, but not going to be enough. I looked who Zenith was, and he has about 17 different Smurfs.
Awesome.
On his Steam account, so I'm not exactly sure who he is.
Hard to call then. We'll just call him Bounty Hunter for now, and maybe I'll find one that fits his name later on, but not a big deal. Happens a lot in SCA Dota, so you just kind of have to get used to it. We're going to see a Chen hasted up with this smoke, and this could be very dangerous for Dragon Knight. Polosan feels a little comfortable. This could be a big mistake. We do see Crystal Maiden also in a position where she could be run down, because she, of course, doesn't have a TP scroll, and she's very slow without her boots, but we're seeing the focus mostly on the mid lane here. The Bounty Hunter is nearby, getting hit by the Sentry Ward, under the Sentry Ward, rather, and Polosan, with 1 point in the Dragon's Armor, is about to be stunned up. Cold Snap to start. We're going to see the Concoction apply. Now it will be the Centaur Stomp, and a lot of damage coming his way. It will be the First Blood going to XXL. So very, very nicely done. I technically feel like the Concoction could have come out after the Centaur stun, just because the Cold Snap was such a good setup, but yeah, they got the kill one way or another. They didn't have to dive too deep, so it's really semantics.
I love how XXL and Mr. Ghost play with this rotation with the Chen, and they're going to do it again. They're going to head towards the bottom lane now. There's no smoke on the Chen, so they can't do that. Oh, the Zenith is X-Freedom.
Freedom, okay, there we go. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's X-Freedom. I just looked on the quick jump over to the Liquipedia page, and X-Freedom. And it's scripted. Isolated Stick is scripted. Or the Swirling Thunder, that's scripted.
Really?
I mean, no, oh god, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong team.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
Souls. No, Souls standing, oh god, I was looking at the wrong team.
Nice damage coming onto Miracle here. He did absorb quite a bit with his shield, but it's just not going to matter. Plain and simple, there's too much disable, too much lockdown, and that's what Ember Spirit fears, especially early on, is he's going to be building almost purely offensively, maybe a little bit of mana sustain, and as a result, very susceptible to hard lockdown. The arrow, the concoction, exactly what the doctor ordered to try to pin down this Ember, and Miracle's going to be set back in what seemed to be a easy lane for him. It was a 1v1 versus Mirana with some support occasionally with the Crystal Maiden, so it seemed pretty well said and done. We're going to see maybe an Searing Chains, but a great leap coming out of WTF, and he's just going to be able to dodge that out 100%. So they're 2-0 up, and ADN are looking strong for this early game.
Yeah, it's just this, once again, Mr. Ghost and XSL. We saw them doing it yesterday with the Chen and the Sanking. Some of the shenanigans, running around, picking up lanes, farming the jungle. You know, I guess on the top lane, Polishima, he's going to need to get that awkward up pretty fast. If he does get it up quickly enough, I mean, Soul, the Crystal Maiden's going to die so quickly, and it's great against Miracle as well on the Ember Spirit, shutting him down and making him very, very easy to kill. Silence is probably the one thing that really shuts down the Ember Spirit. So. Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Mr. Ghost and XSL, but we still have X-Freedom harassing in the jungle, only up to level 2 now, trying to leech up a little bit of experience. So he has got dust on him, so I'm not too sure. I mean, unless he's doing it really, really far away when he shadow walks again, but they have got dust and they haven't been able to pick him off yet. I'm pretty sure they know he's lurking somewhere.
Yeah, definitely possible to be aware of that, but all the same, you look at it, he's got Arcane Aura, he brought 3 Clarities to start things off, and he's about to get to his second point in Shadow Walk, and that pretty much gives him the potential to lurk to his heart's content. He doesn't really have to worry about his mana issues, doesn't have to worry about how often he spams out that invis in his positioning. Now we will see XXL heard the sound effect of the Shadow Walk, pop off the dust instinctively, but even if they got the dust off, they wouldn't have had the lockdown. Now Pulson will be hit up by a couple of good disables here, and although he will drop the Dragon Tail, be sent packing. He will have to retreat under his tower and a bottle up, probably bottle crow, if not retreat in full, but at the very least he walks away with his life. That's the strength of that 1 point in Dragon's Blood, as well as just being a really tanky strength hero at over 700 HP.
I'm just watching X-Freedom here, just running around the jungle. He should probably go to the middle lane now, try catch up a couple of the levels, instead of just hiding out in the jungle here behind the trees. But yeah, Invoker with the crossworks. I mean, we were talking about the possibility of him going for the Exort just because they have so much lockdown with the Mirana, but they're not really looking. There's no real urgency about Mirana landing arrows and stuff. Like if they were in a tri lane, but this sort of rotating around of Chen and the Alchemist, it's not really that important to get the Exort. So he's doing fantastically, and it looks like he's actually going to go for Hand of Midas as well after getting a relatively fast phase boots. He's going to jump straight into his Hand of Midas.
Big damage on bottom lane. They were able to get right on top of him with 3 spirits, but a great concoction under tower. Is this the death of Miracle again? Yes, the tower will kill him. The Flame Guard does nothing against physical damage, and Mirana gets away, leaps right into the baiting hands, the welcoming hands of a brewing concoction. Unstable as it may be, it was perfectly timed for Mr. Ghost to lock Miracle down. And that is going to make it 3 for 0. And this is not where you want to be as an Ember Spirit. He's making these aggressive plays, diving deep, and they have the perfect response every single time. Generally speaking, the Sleight of Fist is sufficient to just dodge out the Unstable Concoction for a skilled player, but if you don't see it coming, you use that long cooldown as it is at rank 1, and it's not looking good. But the first kill of the day might come out for Scythe here. The Wrath of Nature doing work, and with the Dust of Appearance and a great Sprout, the Bone Fletcher will fall.
What we saw yesterday with the Ember Spirit and the arrow is essentially if you shoot the arrow back at the spot where you jump from with Sleight of Fist, it's going to hit on the side. We saw it yesterday, I think it was, in the last game we cast. Yeah, so that's quite funny. And he actually hit the arrow then, as you mentioned, in came the Alchemist with lots of physical damage to the tower, and Ember Spirit actually going to get a little kill.
Yeah, getting enough AoE there, the pulse on, of course, with the Wreath Fire, they bursted him down pretty hard, and once he finally popped the Ghost Walk off, it was too late, and he burned down to the AoE. But Miracle getting caught out, just a standard Warcraft 3 body block, triangulating him around. I guess I don't think I'm using that word correctly, but it doesn't matter. They get the tower, but they lose Miracle, and so it is a 2 for 4 with a 1 tower advantage. And as far as CS goes, looking over those charts real quick, we do see that topping up the last hits is Clinks and Invoker. It used to be that the Ember Spirit was doing really good against Mirana, but now she's evened it out, 33 for 7 compared to his 33 for 1. And considering his absence from his own lane, he rotated mid once, he got sent back to the fountain twice. It just hasn't looked good, so they're mostly relying on this tower gold that Furion and Davian can acquire on the top lane in order to really fuel his next big item.
I like how you're calling them all by their old names today.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just
nostalgic.
Yeah, I'm
nice,
just...
But yeah, I mean, this is probably the only thing they can do right now. They realize that their laning phase hasn't gone as fantastic as they hoped. I mean, it started off relatively well, and now a couple of towers, and that's exactly what you can do with the DK. Once the DK pops at level 6, he's able to push down the tower relatively quickly and combo it up with a Nature's Prophet. And we see top tower and mid tower going down. But Miracle at the moment, not having the best start on that Ember Spirit. 3 deaths, unfortunately, only 1 kill on his side, and he's not really a hero that scales well without you know, a couple of kills early level and early farm. He kind of fades off a bit. I mean, with his level 6, he can maybe pick off a couple of big kills in team fights, but they don't exactly have a great team fighting lineup. They don't have a team fight. They're basically looking at split push, you know, quick pick off with the bounty hunter behind the tower, DK coming in and just brute forcing down the tower alongside the Nature's Prophet, and then if they try to defend it, then you can try to pick them off with the Ember Spirit as well. But at the moment, there's really nothing. There's nothing Miracle can do in this bottom lane here. They're just going to smack down this tower.
In fact, he probably doesn't know that the Invoker's here, but if he did, oh, actually, they're just going to use it to try to turn around. No, they hit Zenith and Slicks invisibly cross paths, but the only one that knows about it is the Bounty Hunter. But now, do they have Dust? They pinged it out, but it looks like they don't have the appropriate detection to really thwart that position. So in the end, they're not going to get the tier 1 tower. Clinks will live, and actually now there is going to be some EMP damage breaking out. The arrow will miss, though. It's still enough damage? Yes. Onto the acid spray, he will fall. Now, Invoker taking some hits, but with the quads, he's able to take up quite a bit. Isn't enough, though. Fire Remnant coming in. Hand of God to heal them all up. Double Searing Chains coming out from Miracle. Getting hit hard by the neutral creeps, but he does pick off the Chen. Now, Dragon Tail coming out here onto Slicks. Really, really good burst damage coming out from both the Ember Spirit and the Dragon Knight, but can they finish him? Magic Wand peeling him up? No, the Searing Chains to lock him down. Now, hiding in their tower, they will go in somewhat retreat as the Hellbears and the Satyr's continuous nukes were pounding away, but the end result is a lot of kills in favor of Scythe. I think that's a 2 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about with Ember Spirit. This is pretty much how you can get back into the game. with those spirits and team fights like that. But that was a bit messy. I mean, they kind of DK did quite a bit of damage there. Crystal Maiden as well sat in the background throwing off spells. I mean, doesn't have an ultimate, so that would have probably helped. But really got Ember Spirit in there, and the Searing Chains that went off, and as well as the Flame Guard, just did so much damage. And unfortunately, Invoker not getting off too many spells, using the EMP to try kill off the bounty hunter might have been a little bit of a mistake. Didn't have it for the big team fight that sort of ensued immediately afterwards. And yeah, Miracle might just be back on track now. The 11 minutes having his drums and boots, no secondary boots just yet. But on the other hand, Alchemist going for the mechanism. I was thinking he might go for a very quick battalion just to continuously try shut down Miracle with a lot of physical damage, but instead going straight for the mechanism.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty interesting build up there. Just gonna make it so that I'm not sure what the Chen wants to go for other than that though. That's the weird thing, is usually it's just very standard. Chen picks it up, he heals his own creeps, he fuels his own push, but in this case here, Mr. Ghost is going to give him that extra HP buffer, so that's a lot easier to keep that Chemical Rage heal over time going, and it's going to be a good use of his early farm. But I don't know what the Chen wants that's so important that he can't get the mechanism himself. Maybe it's about the timing, the fact that if the Chen gets Arcane Boots and Basilius, the mechanism is delayed too much in their opinions, so they're going to go and put it on the Alk, or if they really do want to get something like an Aghanim Scepter or a Vladimir's or something else on the Chen. We are going to see some movement here on bottom lane. Double smoke coming out and a Bounty Hunter in Invis. And they're going to be pinning down for a 4 versus 2. We'll see the TP response in a moment, but right now the Searing Chains will hit onto WTF. They're going to go for Fire Spirit to get out of dodge, and they're going to burst hard on Mirana. Nice damage there. Mr. Ghost, not having mechanism just yet, is going to die very quickly. Clinks does deliver a volley of auto attacks to bring down the Crystal Maiden under the tower, but trades his life in turn. Now we're seeing some big hits. A great stun coming out onto Chen, trying to save his life. Hand to God, not going to be there. And in the end, it's a 4 for 1. A perfect rotation, a great smoke movement, and a delayed response from ADN. It really cost them. Actually diving deep. Are they seriously going for this? Miracle under tower, cold snap. This is bad. This is bad. The Fire Spirit transference is not going to come fast enough. He won't be able to activate that Fire Remnant and jump to it, and instead he will just feed his life away. So that would have been an amazing coup for Scythe, taking that many kills in succession, including this tier 1 tower down bottom, it almost looks like. But that feed for Miracle. Now Polisson taking some big hits. He has high armor, so that concoction didn't hurt too hard. In fact, he's going to try to turn it around here with the help of Freedom. Chen gets the deny on the tower with the Satyr, but it looks like with the usage of Mirana's ultimate, they're going to just retreat, not knowing what lurks in the shadows. We're going to see a stun from Polisson, but Mr. Ghost, I thought he would still get the stun off onto X-Freedom, but he might have still been in biz. Anyways, bursting hard onto Alchemist. Chemical Rage still up, trying to heal over time fast enough, but I'm not sure if it's enough. Chen will bring down Bounty Hunter, that's for sure. But now Polishima is going in retreat, dusted up, frostbitten, but they can't follow through. Invoker's here. Has at least a tornado to lend to the fight, and he is going to connect onto Crystal Maiden here. So the soul will drop down, getting hit by the cold snap. Hasted Miracle, on the other hand, is kind of flaunting his potential against Chen and Mirana, who are both low HP.
Okay, well, quite a few things to say. Pretty much what Scythe did, that's exactly how their lineup is programmed to work. I mean, they got behind the tower, they got a pick off. And then ADN, I don't know if they panicked or whatever, but they came in one by one and just kept getting picked off. Like I said, these lineups, they're not team fight potential, they are slugfests. They pick off slugfests, take towers, and that's exactly what Scythe did. They got behind the tower, got a pick off, got the tower, and then again, in came Scythe again, but then, sorry, in came ADN to try to pick up another team fight, or try to fight some more, and then they managed to get 2 kills, and it just continues the same thing. Both lineups essentially working perfectly there. Scythe, on the other hand, spending maybe a little bit too much time in the bottom lane. They could have retreated as soon as the heroes respawned. They would have walked away with an 8 to 6, 8 to 7.
Yeah.
And Miracle, yeah. So they Miracle he's probably going to go down here.
Probably. The cold snap, the very fast auto attacks, it makes it very hard for him to escape, but he is a slippery hero with that Fire Remnant. It looks like he'll be able to dodge away fast enough for his allies to come on in. 4 versus 2. They didn't get the track off against Slicks though, so they're just going to have to settle for Clinks in the end. But yeah, that fight started hardcore in favor of Scythe, And then Ember Spirit Miracle threw under the tower a little bit, and that gave an opening for the Clinks to deliver a huge amount of damage to a couple of the lower HP heroes. So he took down one, maybe two, and then the Scythe turned it back because, as you said, their lineup is much more structured towards that kind of aggression. So in the end, Scythe definitely took the more pronounced lead, especially when you consider tracks and the fact that even an even exchange comes in favor of Scythe when tracks are on the field. But that being said, could you imagine how much differently those fights would have been if they had the mechanism, if the Alchemist had just that much more farm, or if the Chen had rushed it before one of his other items? I mean, it's black and white how different those fights would have been. Either way, we're going to see it break down. The tier 2 is gone, Mr. Ghost with it. And now a couple of auto attacks heading in towards Miracle, but not enough to bring him down.
Yeah, I mean, there was something they could do there with the Elder Dragon. Okay, he just picked up the level 11 now, but Elder Dragon hitting on the
Oh, he got the stun under the sentry. That's pretty big. Can they get the Searing Chains, though? No, only throwing him out onto Fulashima, and he just shrugs him off. So, yeah. Arrow not going to connect, and it looks like this might have ended, but that super fast Invoker, it's always hard to tell.
Yeah, they want to keep fighting. I mean, Miracle actually picked up Vlad. That's interesting on that hero, so it's more sort of team push potential now, I guess, with the Vlads, and yeah, I mean, they still has Roshan that has sort of been untouched this game, but it's 11 to 10. I mean, the gold graph is sitting at just 5,000 ahead for Scythe and about 1,500 experience as well, and the experience lead is really because XXL and Mr. Ghost have been hardly in lane. They've sort of just been running around trying to pick off kills here and there, responding to pushes, responding to potential team fights, and yeah. There's not really much that. I mean, it's not out of ADN's hands at all now. I mean, they can still. I mean, they have the Invoker, which is sort of a trump card in this sort of lineup, where you can add to a bit of better team fight, which is something that I don't think Scythe have exactly. Besides once the Blue Dragon form is there and Crystal Maiden gets at level 16 if she gets a good ulti off. But yeah, so they can hold him off with the Invoker, but it's going to become really difficult. And he's going for, I think. Man, I'm going to go and say it's going to be another Orchid Malevolence. Could be a Refresher, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think
on Invoker or Clinks? Invoker still
on Invoker.
Yeah,
has got
I think it's way too early to look at Refresher when there are like eight other items you'd want before that. But yeah, I would say just double Orchid is essentially what they're looking at. They want to lock down the Ember Spirit, make it easy for them, and right now if they get those items, there's nothing that Miracle can do. He's very spellcast reliant. He's not going to be building a BKB for a long time, and yeah, I think that's going to give them a very nice opening in general. I have a couple of comments that I can talk about for Miracle's pickup of the Vladimir's offering, and it is a very weird pickup on Ember Spirit. There are some positives. The fact that he has very low base intelligence and intelligence gain makes static mana regeneration items all the more powerful. So like a Basilius, for example, is really good because it provides I think 0.5, whereas the Vlad's provides 0.8. I might be slightly wrong on that, but it's in that general region. So anyways, you get a lot of mana sustainability in conjunction with Arcane Aura. Oh, actually, we're going to see a fight break out, so I'll have to worry about that later. Clink's going to get dropped down very quickly. This is a very early death on the Clinks, but he gets mech'd up and he might still survive. We'll see as Bounty Hunter pursues him. Mr. Ghost, caught in the trees, though, is not in a great spot at all. The mechanism expended his life as well. So they did take out the Chen, they took out the Alchemist, but the Clinks just barely survived. In the meantime, Dire Courier does get picked off, just complete miss micro under the tier 1 tower. And we do see Miracle jumping in and finishing off WTF. So he's going to be able to move in towards that Desolator very quickly after that killing spree. X-Freedom himself, he went for a pretty interesting build, going for the Dagon. And right now, it seems to be fine. As long as they get the kills, they're getting so much track money that it almost doesn't matter what they build. But to finish that train of thought that I was going into, Vladimir's offering, it's good for the armor for the team. It's good for the mana regeneration for Ember Spirit since he didn't want to go Arcanes. He already has the Arcane Aura. It's a bit of overkill to get both of those, so Vladimir's is kind of a good in-between. Oh, Courier for Courier. Clinks finds one. Looks like Fish is going to be picked off, though, despite his ultimate. And underneath, in a really bad spot in general, Fulashima just walks right into his terrible position. So that's just very unfortunate for them, as they are going to lose their top tower. They lost 2. And this is losing kills to Bounty Hunter left and right, so they will get one in exchange. The last interesting bit about Vladimir's, it's The Sleight of Fist works the same way that Omnislash does, as in that after 0.5 seconds of no longer existing on the standard plane. Oh, actually, Miracle walking into an interesting position here, trying to pin down Slicks. Yes, with this Dust of Appearance, he is going to be able to bring him down, no problem. But yeah, when you do the Sleight of Fist, essentially the first 2 auto attacks you do, the 0.2 second and the 0.4 second, are going to be benefiting from that lifesteal aura as well as that base damage increase, but the remaining ones won't actually, because the auras only persist for a temporary time period, 0.5 seconds, while you're still existing on the Dota 2 plane. But once you're jumping around Omnislash or Sleight of Fist, then the aura effect falls off and you don't actually benefit from that item. So he will get still a little bit of lifesteal on it, but not as much as you'd hope.
Yeah, I should talk about that whole, whatever that was, teamfight chase, but that kind of played into the hands of Scythe. I mean, Scythe sort of chased them down. They had the Ember Spirit who can use his fire remnants just to jump onto them. They had Bounty Hunter for chase, TP and Nature's Prophet to, at the same time, while they were running away and trying to get away from Scythe, as Scythe were hot on the hills, he had Nature's Prophet who was split pushing, and he's gone for a relatively old Nature's Prophet build. It's sort of the battle take building builds, not really the Necrobook which you've seen being rushed by most Nature's Prophets now, just the Necrobook Desolator just to really wreck down towers, but instead going for the Orchid Malevolence and the Shadowblade. I wouldn't say it's old school since a lot of players still use it, but it's not really that popular in the current meta. I mean, you'd rather see, you know, your Shadowblade Necro or 4-star Necro. But yeah, I mean, they go for the Roshan now, and they, like I said, ADN sort of played right into their hand in that last big team fight by running away and getting picked off one by one. It's difficult to say what they should do once they lose a hero like the Alchemist or the Clinks that early in a team fight. Or Clinks actually got away on very low HP, but once they start losing heroes like that, they don't really have anything unless Invokers that allow to throw out tornadoes and push them off that they can retreat fast enough. But Scythe are just going to chase on with, as I mentioned, Fire Remnant, Searing Chains, Bounty Hunter, TP around the map from Nature's Prophet. It's just so difficult, and this chase lineup is pretty much working perfectly for Scythe at the moment. Yeah,
they just have such a gold advantage right now. If we look at the graph, we're seeing already over 14,000. I'm trying to break out a fight here, but I don't think that they're going to even commit that far, because they don't have to. Right now, they have so much going for them gold-wise. They are sitting at a 14,000 gold advantage, have taken all the outer tier towers, not losing a single one. They have a 6-kill advantage, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's 17 kills on a team with a bounty hunter, and it just stacks up the cash money that they're able to acquire. So the Bounty Hunter going to go towards a second Dagon recipe, the Dragon Knight working very rapidly towards that Assault Cross, and once they have both the AC and the Vlads on their team, that is a 15 armor advantage that I don't think ADN has. Like, they have a Basilius, so they counteract 2 armor of that, but still 13 armor advantage out of those 2 items. That's pretty insane. And then you add on the Desolator on top of that, which Sleight of Fist will apply to everyone. You've just got a huge amount of potential to take any just physical brute force fights, because they don't really have that many powerful magical nukes. Like, the Invoker went Wex, so he's set up more than damage, and then the Alchemist, of course, is physical and composite damage. So they really are just dealing with physical and composite for the most part, and it makes it so that the armor is all the more effective.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at Miracle casting the 6-second cooldown of Sleight of Fist. Just so much damage. Something might actually take the tower here. Look at that damage.
Yeah, just poking at him over and over and over. Not going to be able to seal the deal by itself. Actually, Miracle dives deep. Look at this Orchid, the cold snap. He's going to force the Aegis here, but they do some good damage with the Wrath of Nature. It's enough to bring down the Invoker. Now coming back in. Miracle back up to full HP. Pulse on big, angry Red Dragon going for the kill on the tracked up Chen. Now going to hit the arrow, but still, I don't even know if they can fight right outside their fountain. They're like 600 units from their fountain, and they still look like they're going to lose the fight. It just does not look good. The Fire Runner comes in and stun onto Clinks, and they are locked down. It does look like the bullet chains will not be enough to pin down the Mirana, as she barely makes it to her base, but I stand corrected as Miracle slices and dices, and really just farms them away inside their own fountain. The GG finally comes through, and that is going to be it for Game 1 of the best of 3. A 22-12 kill victory in 25 minutes and 40 seconds. A very impressive showing from Scythe.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that ADN, their team fight when they pick lineups that focus a lot on massive team fights and really just stomping their opposition, it works a lot better for them. We saw them yesterday with the heroes like Sand King, Elder Titan. You know, I can't really remember exactly what they drafted, but I knew they had insane team fights. And here's hoping for the game number 2. They surprise us again and pick up a really, really strong and well-composed team fighting lineup where they can just steamroll and push towers, as we saw yesterday. And yeah, Scythe actually had a bit of a rocky start in the beginning with the Mr. Ghost and XSL roaming combination, as you saw yesterday. And but then Miracle made a nice comeback. I mean, I guess you can never really count him out completely. Like I mentioned, when Storm Spirit does manage to start picking off kills in the middle of team fights, he does get the items he needed, and that was the Desolator and the Vlads and drums that we saw come out in about the 20 to 25 minute mark. And I must admit, in the end, ADN was sort of playing into the hands of Scythe with them running away, getting caught out one hero, 2 heroes, and then Grace coming in to try and help, and then getting caught out as they got chased down by fire remnants and everything else. And meanwhile, Nature's Prophet just keeping to his own and pushing towers, and coming in for a couple of kills and fights now and then. But yeah, that was a really great game for Scythe, and they are the favourites, I think, to win here. So hopefully ADN can give us another upset like they did yesterday afternoon with Mistrust.
Yeah, or at the very least take it to a game 3. We always like to see these things go back and forth a little bit and see some great action. But yeah, I really do feel like the game-defining moment was down on the bottom lane, that tier 1, that smoke movement, the fact that they were able to pincer them in and create a chaotic team fight. It wasn't 100% in favor of Scythe. There were a couple of good kills going the way of ADN, but just that chaos that ensued and the momentum that was shifted with Bounty Hunter tracks, it just didn't matter that they were losing a couple of kills here and there because they were getting so much more. So in the end, they took it away. They got a huge goal advantage, and they will finish this off. Now we're going to go into Game 2 in just a few minutes here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the AOC Pro Cup. Shout out real quick to AOC. Their lovely products and sponsorship are what makes this tournament go round. So if you guys are enjoying the Southeastern Asian esports scene, and specifically this tournament, check out AOC and all the wonderful things they have to offer there. But otherwise, shout out to Dota Talk, shout out to DapBet for supporting the tournament, and we will see you guys in the next one. I am Blaze of Dota Talk. Check me out on twitter.com/blazecasting, and this is Congo. He is over on twitter.com/CongoKyle and facebook.com/CongoZA. See you guys on Game 2.